And I planned, as a result of what I went through, that I would leave home as soon as I was able to, and did so when I was 15. Went into business. I invented something. It was a washable wallpaper remover. In those days, if you had wallpaper in your kitchen, so that it didn't melt away or disfigure because of all of the heat and atmospheric changes that went on in kitchens, people caught on this brand new idea of having wallpaper that was washable wallpaper and you could just wipe it. The trouble with it was you couldn't strip it easily because you had to break through it. And I came up with a simple idea of having granules put in packets, and you'd put those on the wallpaper with a wet cloth and wash it over. And of course it broke the cover, and then the paper would come off. And I sold that for a significant sum of money as a young teenager. And that made me hungry for more appetite of business, and things developed from there.
So how old were you when you invented that?
14.
And was it following that you went into the paint side of things and you kind of had this?
Yes.
And, that's ended up with the police visiting your home, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, the next thing was that because I had done that and it involved wallpaper, the next thing was paint. And I realized there was a lot more profit in paint than there was in wallpaper. And I had worked in a hardware ironmongery store and enjoyed it. And on one Saturday, a gentleman came in and asked for Graham Lacey. And he was directed to where I was. And he said, "Young man, I've got a bone to pick with you." And I'd never heard that expression before. And I thought, oh, my word, I'm in very serious trouble. And I said, well, what do you mean? He said, "Since you've been working here, my wife's housekeeping budget has trebled." He said, "She told me you could sell sand to camels and igloos to Eskimos." He said, "I wish you could sell paint." "Oh," I said, "I can sell anything." And I said, "Why?" "Well," he said, "I've got this modern factory about 20 miles from here, state-of-the-art equipment. We can make paint every specification, style, color, type. But I can't sell anything. I'm a chemist. I make paint." I said, "I can sell, and I will sell." So he said, "Well, what I really need is 10,000 gallons of paint being sold a year." I thought to myself, that's a huge amount, but I'll do it. So I got on the train and I went to London. And I looked up in the Financial Times who the richest people were, the biggest business people were. And I would telephone and make an appointment. "Please may I see Lord Wolfenson? Please may I see Sir Anthony so-and-so," etc., etc. And people would take my name, as they did in those days. We didn't have mobile phones like you have now. And I would turn up. And 9 times out of 10, I'd be sitting in reception, and the great man would arrive and say, "There's some chap coming to see me shortly," and the receptionist would sort of nod in my direction that I was here. He'd say, "Excuse me, how old are you?" "Oh, I'm 15, but I'll be 16 next year." 15? He said, "You're coming to see me?" I said, "Yeah." And I'll never forget Lord Fraser saying to me after I'd spent 20 minutes with him, he said, "Young man, honour God on holy days. For every hour you work, take an hour of leisure. And keep your word, and you'll be very successful." And without exception, these men that I met could hardly believe they'd ended up meeting someone who was a kid younger than their own children, etc., gave me an opportunity to let them know I was motivated by a faith in Christ. They were uncomfortable with that. I wasn't, because I'd not known anything different.